Hello everyone. Are we all ready? Yes? Doesn't seems like that. Especially after lunch. Are we ready? Are we ready? Now sounds good. So, yeah, we'll be starting today with our topic of how content marketing in the attention economy, cutting through the noise. That's an interesting topic, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we understand what exactly content marketing is and how we can attract and retain the attention because it's a lot of noise out there. Do you guys believe in it? Do you guys believe in it? Yes, there's a lot of noise out there. So we want to make sure that how we can stand out from the noise and what we can do to reach towards our target audience. So we'll start with our brief introductions for our panelists, and yes, we can move forward. Here you go, Rachel.
Hello, it's Rachel. I am a business owner, actually two business owners, two businesses. One of the business is in tech. We deal with website apps development and software. And of course digital marketing, but my main focus is on the tech part.
Hey guys, my name is Niels. I'm the founder and CEO of Wolf of SEO. Well, the name states what we do. We do SEO, so we're focused on content, not on the social media platforms. It's for Google and on your website, so that might be a different opinion then, because we're probably going to talk a lot about social media. Glad to be here and glad to be starting with you.
Hi, this is Godhram. I'm an engineer and a passionate marketer. Currently, I'm the founder and CMO of Numuin Marketing Management. So we provide 360-degree marketing, branding, and PR solutions. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here too. My name is Jason, and I run a marketing and branding agency for digital marketing in particular, content creation. We're based out in Southeast Asia, in Singapore. And just by a bit of background, before I started this agency, I was actually the head of social media for Netflix in Asia. So I can share a little bit of that background as we speak today as well. Yeah.
That's great. So starting from you, Jason, like as you shared your background, what do you think that, how has the attention economy influenced your approach in your line of business?
So the way it influences us is that, first of all, it's constantly changing and vacillating, right? And it all depends on how the algorithms work and the platforms work. So the way we create content and how we think about the content is not as important as the way we think about the platform and the people receiving it, right? So that is the main way it influences the way we make content in this economy today. Understanding the platforms and who is receiving it.
Okay, so you mentioned that understanding the platform and the algorithms in order to reach your target audience. So what platforms you are currently focusing on and how it is impacting your business?
Hands down, the two most important platforms that we need to focus on today in terms of content is YouTube and TikTok, right? And that has been the way for the last 6 to 8 months already. Now, this could change next month with another platform coming up. This could change, in a year from now. But right now, these are the two most important platforms to focus content creation on.
Okay. And Niels, what's your take on it, on the specific SEO part that you are currently focusing more on?
Yeah, I would add overall that it probably highly depends on what your target group is. Because for me, yeah, I could do I could use all the social platforms. I could use TikTok. I could use anything. But for what purpose? It would be, personal branding, being in the limelight, being in reach for my target group, and probably not being outrun by new market participants that might join in my niche in offering SEO services quickly and having their face all over the platforms. So that would be the purpose. But if I look for clients, things didn't change that much for me because most of my clients won't be on those platforms on the consuming end. So I would firstly kind of differentiate what is my target with whatever I'm doing on the platforms and how I'm working with the attention economy, and then I can kind of assess how to do it. So from an SEO perspective, there isn't too much that has changed because SEO is not made to create demand and instead to capture demand. So people are searching for things and they usually always have the same problems, questions, needs. So this is not something that is based on a trend or that changes. So if you need a lawyer, you need a lawyer. If you need a dentist, you need a dentist. If you want to buy underwear or boxer shorts, socks, whatever you do, you need that. So that's not something that is based on a trend. So in SEO, you can create evergreen content that will most likely be forever searched, needed, and found. So I would say that is in the ever-changing system of the platforms and trends, that's like a pretty stable pillar that is there to stay for a bit longer. Yeah, sorry, a long one.
And if I'm not wrong, because in content marketing, SEO plays a huge role. Yeah. Because the type of content you're producing, the words you're using in the content also represents that if any of your target audience searches you on your Google, your content or your profile will appear. Am I right?
Yeah. If one thing changed, then it will still be the attention span that is lower. So you need more attention capturing elements. You need strong headline. You need more copywriting. You need to not just write wall of texts in SEO. You need to actually use graphics, videos. You need a more rich assortment of elements, and you have to serve it to the people in a way that they like to consume it. So in the best possible way, you have a detailed instruction, and you have a video, and you even have an audio version if somebody wants to listen to their content. So you have to serve more needs and go more multimedia. But outside from that, meaning you need to do better marketing, it hasn't changed as much as the social platforms have changed.
Yes, absolutely. Because you need to make sure that your audience is right. Then as per it, you can able to target them and produce content. So Tara, you mentioned that you were a passionate marketer, but at the same time you had an engineering background. How do you think that content marketing plays a role in your engineering background, because you are currently also part of the engineering and you're doing a side project in the marketing?
So I believe the approach towards marketing has shifted from just context, towards context-based marketing than just content-based marketing. So there's a huge shift. People talk about AI and people talk about the buzz that, this is the future. But I think the future is a mix of contextual marketing plus human intelligence along with using AI as a tool. So it's technology plus human interaction that goes hand in hand if you want to have a really impactful marketing for the future. So this is the future, that's what I think. And answering to his question of how an engineering background helps in marketing and how I'm being successful into executing those is specific to segments like MEP, which is my specialization. I believe the content is not just based on SEO keywords, or it's not just based on some topic that you cover. It's basically based on the experiences that you develop while you are executing engineering projects. So that's also shifting of late. It's completely digitized. If you look at the current trend that's going on in the segment, it's completely digitized. People are moving towards sustainability and digitization. So being an engineer, you're able to have a different perspective than just being a marketer. You're able to understand technically how these products would help somebody save some amount in terms of time and finances, and how could you better approach the situation. So I think that's how it's different. And obviously the key differentiator is the perspective. You would have a 360-degree perspective as an engineer technically, and also as a marketer, obviously you know how to market in line with the trends. And even if you talk about the facts and figures, previously content-based marketing was, I think, certain $136 billion, I think, the market. Now, if you see there's almost 13% plus that's predicted by 2026, you would have like maybe plus 13%, or it could even go towards $336 billion. So I see a huge shift. And the most important thing, which by my experiences and observation that I've like observed and I would like to share with the audience here, is it's not, the content marketing or context-based marketing is not about just like gaining the attention of the customer. You might probably pop up an ad and you can get them see that by force. But if you really want to see conversions, your bottom line coming up, or you want to see some kind of conversions for the business perspective, then it should be like action-based, context-based advertising, or the graphics which Jason spoke about, and also Neil spoke about. So you should have some kind of context wherein the person is interested to take the next action. It's not just limited to you see something and it's not converting, it's not going to help a marketer or a business. So if you want to conclude my understanding of this, if you want to impact your bottom line, if you want to help businesses really thrive, you have to build trust with them while you advertise using contextual-based advertising. So this will happen when you have the attention span for a longer time, so the impressions convert into sales, impacting your bottom line. So this is my take on the impact, yeah.
That's a great point you have shared, Tara. And I want to ask you this on this, Rachel, that you are business owner of 2 businesses currently. And how has that attention economy influenced your approach in your own business?
First, let me say it's hard to be last when they talked about everything mainly. But there is a point for me. For me, content is important when it's entertaining people. This is the most influential part. Where people are entertained by your content and they get attached to your content, so they become more loyal. They feel like they're in a part of community, more like than a business. So it's so boring nowadays with the like big amount of content that you see every day on social media. A lot of content producers, especially like Gen Z, a lot of influencers, a lot of bloggers. So there are a lot of content out there, and it's like really good content. It's influencing people, it's entertaining people, it's grabbing their attention. So as a business, to grab people's attention, it became very boring to just do an ad like, we are the best, for example. We have this, we have that. It's so boring. People are not interested anymore to interact with this or to even convert. So to grab people's attention, you have to first, of course, make them feel like the amount of trust. You have to increase their amount of trust. You have to increase your credibility by addressing their pain points and offering them what they need, but in an engaging way, in a nice way, and an approach where they feel like they belong to the brand, more than just seeing something they need and they might buy. That's what I think.
It's like people understand about your product, but when you make them feel heard and understood, it's then when they are able to connect with you guys and build trust and credibility. And one more good point you have shared is the entertaining content. Do you think, guys, like adding humor into your content marketing would uplift your game? Anyone?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Memes are my favorite. My phone is full of it. So.
Same for me. Do you think that adding humor in your content would help in uplifting your content marketing game?
Well, I think we probably in the near future all have to accept that marketing won't work the way that you have a cool ad or you do something and they buy right away. Because the attention spans are going downhill like crazy and everyone is getting super spammed with any sort of advertising. They see it everywhere and they get numb. So it takes them more touch points to make a buying decision, to even have that ad or what you're selling, the value that you're creating, pierce their already pretty numb minds. So it takes way more work, more touch points, more than just communicating the benefits, also the emotionalization that we talked about. It takes way more to sell your product. So we probably have to accept that. But depending on what you're offering, let's say it's not a cool, trendy D2C e-commerce product. Let's say it's a specialized service, like probably a lot of people in this audience are offering. So what we all might need to do is go broader on the social sites, and then lead them to the actual long-form content, to the value that you're bringing, to the landing page, to the long video, to whatever actually explains to them why they should buy your product or why they should use your service. And when in the first part is basically capturing their attention and filtering out the people that would actually be willing to even engage with what you're offering. Like a few years ago, that wasn't necessary. There were people that had the interest and had the attention span to engage with what you're selling or doing. Right now, we kind of have to have one filter mechanism in front of that to even get those people to take the time, because they're scrolling on TikTok, because they are watching Netflix on the side, because they maybe have a podcast going, because they have 5 different stimulations going on at the same time. So you need to even get them to the point where they will sit down for a few minutes and actually engage with a piece of content where they can grasp what you're offering and what benefit you're bringing. So I think that's the biggest change. And maybe humor, as your question actually was, is a tool that you can use to get them on the second stage. But overall, I wouldn't say it works for everyone. So if you're a construction company, maybe you get a few cool fans that think you're a funny construction company, but those people might not be the big clients that you want to reach. So I think it really depends on what you're selling and what you're doing.
I think adding to his point, earlier it was pretty much easy where you have cookies and people were not much into privacy concerns. But of late, if you see, there are a lot of regulations that come into picture where people are really concerned of their privacy. So people are not willing to accept your third-party cookies, first-party cookies. So the future is a cookieless future. And I think as a brand, as a company, as Numuin as well, we believe in sustainable impressions, creating sustainable growth. That's what it means. So I think what he's trying to say is capturing human data, like what they like, dislike, and being in sync with that and creating content would actually be an efficient way of approaching it. But yes, human interaction is something which is forever going to be there. So that can really help in a sustainable growth.
Let me jump in a bit on this question about humor, because it's a very big part of my life. I love stand-up comedy, right? It's like on my Netflix recommended, there's always stand-up comedy down there. However, the short answer to your question is no. Adding humor for the sake of it doesn't work. And a lot of brands that I've seen observing that humor has worked for some other brands or some influencer or content creator have tried rather unsuccessfully to add it into their content. I think the bigger question here is really the reason why I agreed to participate in this panel as well, is because the title here is about the attention economy. And the topic of attention is a very big topic in my mind all the time. Because without attention, you're not going to sell anything, right? It is at the top, whether they find you through SEO, whether they encounter you on their news feeds. Attention is everything. And if I were to redirect the conversation back to, instead of the technical parts of what we do, but the bigger question of how we do it to get attention, the answer really lies in having a very clear strategy around storytelling. Storytelling is the king of the attention economy. Whatever is that attention you're trying to get, it starts with the story you're telling. And sometimes it's humorous, but it's not always. I do a lot of content in the medical industry, and there's nothing funny about some of the content we have to produce there, but it resonates with a lot of people who see it. So I think that's really where you got to find that angle to get in. Yeah.
Of course, it depends on the audience you're targeting and the line of business, but mainly it's not only about the humor and the memes, of course. This is a part of the type of content. There are a lot of types we could use in our strategy, but mainly, as you said, the storytelling, to have something that people could engage with, not just like a standard ad that they could see like every day and get bored with it. So you have to make them feel like they are belonging to your brand. That's the whole story. So the funny and amusing part is, of course, part of it.
Okay, so what do you guys think that the specific challenges you have faced when you are doing the content marketing in your journey so far? Like, for example, Jason, you mentioned that attention is important, and attention is the new oil, we can say. Earlier it was the oil, but now attention is the new oil, new currency. So what do you think are the specific challenges you have encountered in your content marketing journey?
You directing it to me? Okay, I'll start first, all right? Yeah, thank you. Content marketing in this economy is the hardest it's ever been because everybody is bombarded by 100,000 things that they love to see on their news feeds. When you get why is it Google results go into millions of pages, right? There are millions of results. It's because we are constantly bombarded and our attention is split into many, many tiny fragments, right? So the biggest challenge is to insert yourself into one of those fragments, right? Now, I talked about storytelling because I think it's the key to getting attention. The difficulty we face as storytellers is the same difficulty that every storyteller has faced through history, right? Why do some movies bomb? And why do some movies become blockbuster hits? We don't always know, right? The people behind it may have been top of class in Hollywood, but the movie still bombs, right? Storytelling is about experimenting. You don't get it right the first time, you keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going, right? Because you're going to get it right at some point, and then you start creating a strategy out of those that hit rather than those that fail. So the best movie producers, the best actors, the best actresses have some shows that bomb. Well, don't get discouraged. Get back on the bandwagon and make the next show, make the next video, make the next piece of content, and move on from there. Yeah.
Okay, got it. And as per your point of view, Rachel, what do you think that you have encountered some challenges in your own business journey?
Having people's attention, of course. This is the biggest challenge. And as everyone said, altering your content according to your targeted audience, of course, to understand what they need from you, to target them at the right time and with the right content, and on the right channel, of course. So.
Okay.
I would say the biggest challenge for probably most of us here also is getting traction. So I think most brands have the biggest problems in piercing the market first, in kind of getting to that point that people are invested at all. Because once they're invested, they're pretty invested these days, because so many people are permanently online. They're permanently at their feeds. And if you manage to make that kind of critical leap, it gets easier. But it probably takes longer, way longer than expected. It's harder to do, and it's more disappointing as you would have expected in the beginning. So I think the biggest challenge is to get to that point where you have an audience at all, so that things can get traction. Because once you have that, the algorithms do their thing, and they give you more reach. You get more viewing as soon as there are any comments or anything going on, more follow, because nobody wants to be the first. So that is, I think, the big thing that changed for a lot of people, that even getting to that first base is becoming difficult, and that I think a lot of people will feel that they have to play the game. They have to be there. They have to be on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Instagram, because if they're not, other people will be, and if they're 10 years in the business, the new people are the faces that are seen and shown. They will be perceived as the experts. and you don't want that to happen. So you have to play the game. You have to get through that first very frustrating step of getting reach, getting known, and producing content, and the exponential growth might follow that. Yeah.
I think like content marketing, the biggest challenge is you have like n number of competitors into the same segment trying to do the same thing. People are trying to, trying to understand the game, how it works. There's a lot of content out there. But what many companies fail to understand is that's just the first step when you put your content out there. The most important part is being sustainable, being consistent until you drive engagement with your target audience. You have to match your why, as in like why you are as a brand following certain strategies or implementing certain communication strategies with that of your target audience. So you have to get them engaging, which is a long-term process. It does not happen. You can stuff in a lot of content out there about your products, about your services, about who you are, but it's a it's a game of a long run. It's not like it's going to happen in a year, 2 years. It can happen 3 months. Depends like on your how synced you are with your target audience, how well you know them, how well you connect with them. Emotional intelligence plays an important role in this content marketing game as well. And biggest is the entrepreneurs, the business owners, who have the guts to invest that kind of time, energy, finances to make it worth like long run. Like it's not like today you're investing like say SEOs and different kind of shortcuts that you try to like companies like to take, like thinking like you would have like a lot of returns. But SEO is also a long-term game. If you have to win, you have to win long-term. So I think again it goes back to having sustainable impressions and believing in what you're doing, experimenting, like he said. But it is something which is sustainably growing. You cannot like have the results on a short-term approach. Yeah. So having long-term vision is what is the key if you want to overcome the challenges that you face on content marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with this because consistency plays a huge role when it comes to content marketing. If you believe that you would start getting results just like after 1 week, 15 days, 30 days, it's not. Because I personally, from my experience, I've been doing the content creation and the content marketing for like 4 months, 4+ months consistently. In those 4+ months, you will then able to realize that are your people, the target audience whom you think are the actual ones, or do you believe that like I'm targeting wrong people? Because you will observe many new things when it comes to the content marketing game when you just move on to that path. So what else is thing is that people will give you money when they give you time. And unless they give you time, unless they give you the attention, means they have to give the attention. Once they have given you attention, they will give the time. And once they have given the time, they will give you the money. So that's all the process. And you want to make sure how you can grab it. So moving forward, what strategies and what observations do you guys have experienced, and do you relate and you can share to other content marketers that they can start implementing and go from there?
Yeah, I would like to add to that, but it fits with the question also, that just kind of getting reach isn't doing the trick. So most users don't want to do a single movement anymore. So you have to have the full strategy, the full funnel, and you pretty much have to feed it to them by spoon by spoon. So you need like the top funnel traffic in the social platforms, then you need an actual landing page to send them to, and then the sign up, the offering, you need your sales team connected if you're in B2B. So you need kind of everything to make it as easily possible for your users, your audience, your future clients to sign up, consume your content, and to not think. Because a lot of people these days don't want to think anymore, and you should think for them and make it as easy as possible for them to just have to do a click or have to do a check mark or anything to sign up to your offer, to buy your product, or to understand what they're supposed to understand. If there's any point where you think, yeah, they will get it. I just create content and I will get clients asking me to do the service for them. That's not going to happen. As soon as there's like an effort of 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to be done from the side of the client or the target, it's not happening. Always think about how you can make it as seamless, as borderless, as easy as possible for them to do what you want them to do.
Okay, do you want to add on that, Jason?
Sure. I think that there are two different ways to look at it. Ammi, you're speaking from the standpoint of a content creator. Very often, we have to think from the standpoint of the brand as an agency, right? So I think that the concept around creating content is very specific to these two different types. And within my company, I also own a content platform, so a bit like a creator stuff. So I have to change my mindset with regards to content strategies depending on which hat I'm wearing, okay? So let me first talk about brand, because there may be others of you in here who are thinking, I'm a brand, and what you're telling me about content, I can't produce that much content, I can't become humorous, I can't do this and that, okay? So let's talk about it from a brand point of view. For a brand, I always think, are you providing a service or product that people want and already need? If so, the type of content that you make is dependent on how well you answer the question when they're looking for it. It's a very SEO play, and it's very YouTube. You get it? Then people already know they want that. As compared to, are you introducing a new product or service that people don't know that they need or they want, right? There's so much stuff out there. People don't know that they want it until you put it in front of them. Then you have to make really bite-sized, attractive content that feeds the hyper-short attention span of the audiences today, okay? Now, I'll change gears a little bit to the strategy around being a content creator. I don't know if there are content creators in the group, but let me share with you some thoughts on that specifically. Content creation to build your own brand is a very tricky thing. Rachel would know, she owns a brand as well, right? So half of you wants to talk about the things that actually you can monetize from, right? And you know, like either it's a product or service. The other half of it, you just want to build your own personal brand. So where do you go with that, right? So the answer to that is, when we're talking about storytelling and experimentation, we always say that content creators know their audience best. The truth is, a lot of them don't actually know it at the outset. They had to experiment a lot on different things that work, right? And finally, they found one thing that worked, and they grew from there. So if you are just starting out on the basis of being a content creator, experimentation with multiple forms and types is actually the key. But the minute you lock in on the thing that works, you need to keep fine-tuning that all the way through. So I think those are the just broad brushstrokes of content strategy and the way I think about it. Yeah.
And sorry, I would kind of like to differentiate one thing, because when we're talking about content creation and all that stuff, we are often talking about the top funnel. So if you imagine the funnel, the top is not very qualified, you want to make them your customers, you want to qualify them, but we often forget that in the bottom funnel, the people that already want your product, that want to buy it, that want your service, there are also a lot of people. And capturing those first is way easier, and you have way less effort, because you don't have to explain them why they need it and then telling them why your offer is the best and having all that process and moving them down. So there's this filtering and this qualifying the large amount of traffic that is super unqualified because it comes from a dance video, for example, in a very superficial example. That's way harder than actually thinking about what's my target group, what are their problems, and serving those first very well. So when I think about it from an SEO perspective, I would always work on those things first. So now we're switching from kind of talking video content and social media to SEO for just a second, because I can pretty easily find out what are the problems that people have in my area of expertise or with my product, or that my product is solving. and I can work on that. And for example, if you're a service provider of any sort, you have a website. What is the type of site where you sign the client right away or where you get a request right away? It's your service pages. It's describing what are you offering, what problems are you solving. For example, if I'm an SEO, people look for link building, people look for keyword analysis, people look for content creation, people look for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. So if I would talk about some broader topics, I wouldn't reach those that already want to buy. Those on the bottom that I just talked about are those that already want to buy a service. I should capture those first. And then later, when I got those, work on the broader things. And therefore, if you're a service provider, work on your service pages on your website. If you're an online shop, I see so many online shops working on blogs first. That's so top funnel. Optimize products, optimize categories. That's where the sales are laying. So, and that's somewhat unique to SEO because you can completely target the bottom funnel right away, which isn't that easy on the social platforms, but still people like to forget that on the very qualified end of the funnel, there are already a lot of people, and I should think about capturing those well first before I do the super complicated funnel system where I move them through the whole thing.
I would like to give an important advice or a thought that I could, probably you guys have to consider, content marketers for sure, when you're approaching. Since we're talking about content marketing in the attention economy, we're looking for something which is like in a short span. So firstly, you have to understand the brand personality of the client or of your own company that you're working for, and minimize your content. It's not quantity, it's quality that matters. Your brand tone is set, your communication strategy is set, which is really strong, and you're consistent when you're positioning your brand into the market space of your target audience. Even important with the recent AI advanced technology and different kind of automations that are happening in this space is you're being available on not just LinkedIn or YouTube or Twitter or these kind of platforms, but also communities where you have engagements, B2B, B2C, digital spaces, podcasts, Spotify, different kind of platforms where you're available and you're clear in terms of what your personality is for your brand. And you're having a kind of a purpose of why you're doing it. You're able to understand your target audience, and whatever you push onto the media, remember that over the time, it's actually building a thought about the brand personality in the person who is consuming your content. So they get a perception about who you are, what you are. So it's better to present yourself as a leader with quality content, with a mix of content which could be presented, like he says, like differently. It could be a mix of carousels, videos, content. Make it like interesting, not very boring, irrespective of what segment you're into. And be in tune with the changes in terms of your behavioral changes that happens in terms of your target audience. They might think differently today and maybe tomorrow, depending on whatever the trend is, they might have a different thought. But again, don't fall for all the trends. Follow your heart, like follow your gut feel, because it's all about experimentations, like you say, and that's what works in the long run. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Go ahead.
Is anything left for me? There's nothing. So I will mainly resume it as I see it in my head now. So starting with knowing your audience, of course, and as Jason said, experimenting. Trying different type of content to see which one works best for your audience and stick to it for some time. But I'm with testing most of the time. So after some time, probably your audience changes a bit. The age group of your audience change a bit. So you keep testing, but in a less rate. Then after testing, and you try to give the best content type for your audience, you try to grab their attention more and make them convert. Of course, as he said, so regarding the people who are there to convert and easy to convert, that you should focus on through SEO and search probably campaigns, they are ready to buy. So they're just not your audience yet, but they're there, they are ready to buy, so you can start targeting them. And at the same time, in parallel, you work on your own audience to build their loyalty so they can, of course, it will take time for them to convert, but yeah, that's mainly how I see it.
Okay, so overall, it's like building the awareness in your target audience. Even if you have the products or services that you are offering, you want to make sure that you warm them up through your content game, and then you are moving down the funnel. It's like when Niels mentioned, like top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel, because you want to make sure that people know about you, that you value them first, you provide value first, then comes down to bridging the gap, and then when you are persuasive enough to sell them your products and services. So moving forward, and we are coming also to an end, that attention economy, it's like a totally different changing game, and we want to make sure that we grab that attention, we capture that attention, we engage, and we add value. That's the whole crust and conclusion of the session. And being loyal, being trustworthy, and being credible to your audience is crucial.
Yeah.
Anything?
And I think on a final note, I would like to add, also be very clear what the goal of whatever content marketing you're doing is. So is the goal, I want to get reach, I want to be known, I want a lot of like reach. Maybe you do the trends then. Is your goal to be seen as an expert of your field, of your topic? Then it's probably a different sort of content that you should do, and it should be structured in a different way. Is your goal to do sales? Then you should probably be more aggressive and sales-driven. So I think a lot of people are producing content just for the sake of producing content, and they are not very clear on what the actual goal of that piece of content or that campaign is. So of course, if you're marketing for a client, the goal is clear. But for ourselves, the goal often isn't that clear. So keep that in mind, because if you think about in the end, why nothing happened or worked, or why it's so hard to pierce that short attention span that we're dealing with. Are you very clear on your message, and did you deliver it very clearly?
So I think, like, just to conclude on a positive note, and inclusivity is something which we should always keep in mind when we are approaching any kind of content marketing, contextual marketing, or any new term that would come up in the future. And I think the bottom line is you have to utilize the technologies that are available that's going to come up in the future, be it AI or some automated tools. Take help of the different kind of CRM tools that you have an integrated approach, not just like with your client, but within the client as well. Like there's a team that works behind the scenes to make things happen. So it could be between different departments that you have an integrated approach, and have a strong communication theme for yourself for a long term, and just invest into quality over quantity. So that's my take.
One quick takeaway. I like what Neil was saying about ensuring that you have the story, the intention of the content clear. I have witnessed too many marketing teams and brands who face a huge paralysis by analysis, right? And in absolutely trying their very best to make that piece of content with the right messaging and the right branding and the right ... they end up not making the piece of content. Either that, or they put way too much expectations on that one piece of content. And I'm like, oh my guys, in this world, that's one of 50 that you should be making this month. Right? So I think that once the direction of the brand is set and it's straight, the onus is on the marketeers, all of us, right, to figure out a content flywheel that can produce content specific to that end goal, but produce it fast and quick and with high quality and with quick turnarounds, because that is the attention economy today. We can't be the slowest in this game. We have to be the fastest in this game in order to win. Yeah.
And also, I would like to add on that is quality matters, and quality will also come when you have the too much of quantity, because there are many new content creators also. They and then yeah, it's like imposter syndrome in them that how this gonna works, like as Jason mentioned, analysis paralysis, and it just stops them from taking action. It's like just make the content and throw it in the market. See the response, check it out, how it works, how much engagements you are getting, how much traction you are getting, how much impressions you are getting, and then make tweaks further, because that's how you can make and implement from the lessons from the failures that you have got and shift it to the further in the journey. And it's like being effective and efficient. That's it. And yeah, that's the wrap for our session. And looking forward to the questions. Anyone?
Yeah, hi. So one question from a customer's perspective. Do businesses need to focus anything beyond profitability and the product benefits what they are offering to potential customers? Is there anything else which businesses and as a marketing leaders you advise to your clients to focus on in current period? And if yes, I need to understand like what are the current trends and highlights business should focus on. Thank you.
So I can give some answers on this because in my business, I'm doing this right now. So to build our portfolio and to build our clients, to have clients and to gain their trust and their loyalty, we're focusing on quality more than profitability. Sometimes I take projects at cost. I don't mind. I don't mind about having profit now until I show my clients the value they're getting and the quality of work they're getting, until I get them to trust me as a business. And then they will pay more for the value they're getting. They won't mind later. This is what I'm focusing on now in my business.
I would like to add to that. So, like a metaphor would be, you can, let's say you can sell shit very profitably, but you're selling shit. And but if you want the customer lifetime value, the thing is, what does profitability mean? Is it like the percentage of revenue you make on your sale, or is it the customer lifetime value? Because if you may not earn in the first month like as much as you could if you would cut on quality, for example, it's just to keep it simple, but you're keeping the client for 2 years longer. The average churn rate might be a higher percentage, and usually a client churns after 3 months. That's, for example, very common for bad agencies. But if you can keep the client for 2 years while making a bit less, because you're improving the quality a bit more per month, that's way more value than having earned, like on the first sale, a higher amount. So I would absolutely invite everyone to think about customer lifetime value as more of an important metric.
I would like to add to this. I think being an entrepreneur and also being a passionate marketer, I think we all have kind of responsibility on our shoulders, and we have the power to make choices which would not just have a profitable impact on the businesses, but also could have a great social impact, an impact, a positive contribution towards maybe our green planet, towards sustainability, towards CSR goals. So we as marketers are given that power where we could integrate these and drive profitability for the businesses, but also have inclusivity and think for giving back to the society, the communities. It could be to the marketing community as well. You could probably give opportunities to students who would want to make a career out of it. It's not always about profits and monetary stuff. It's beyond that. So you could actually make a positive impact by being human and being supportive towards your peers. That's something I think we as businesses and marketers would.
And it also highly depends on your peer, on the group that you're targeting. So if you're in tech, you probably need a lot of trust. People want to see numbers, data, facts. If you're in some social issue, it's completely different. So whoever is your client, you can probably kind of generalize what their values are, and then you can act accordingly. So that's probably a good metric to assess what besides profitability will be important for selling your products to your target audience.
Okay, I think I'm going to jump in real quick. I know it's really long to have 4 answers to every question, but this is a topic that's very close to my heart, profitability, right? As a business owner, that's all I think about. No, that's not what I think about, okay? Of course, as a business owner, you want to make profits. If not, how are you going to run a business, right? But what I realized and what I learned early in my career is that the best marketing comes from solving problems, right? And I often think, what's the solution I'm providing with this service, with this product? You know, I might be marketing a restaurant. So what's the solution I'm providing? Someone wants Thai food. I make sure that my Thai food is the best Thai food, and it appears in your feed, right? So it's constantly about asking this question: am I solving a problem? Honestly, if you're not, you never ever reach profitability, right? You have to solve some sort of problem or desire or want, and then marketing makes sense. Yeah. So I normally start from that standpoint. I thought to add that in. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for sharing. I'm Celestia from Singapore. I'm directing this question first to Jason, and probably the rest could add on. I don't need 4 answers, but if there is, well, it's a bonus, right, guys? Okay, there's a lot of mention about, you know, how to create like effective, good content that works, reaching out to people, entertaining people and stuff like that. But in the various platforms, the algorithms change every now and then. So what are your views and take in this? Yeah.
Thank you, Celestine. Pleasure to meet someone else from Singapore. Always, thank you so much. This question has befuddled every content creator for the longest time, right? When we started the concept of influencers, Instagram was the biggest, correct? But try putting those same pictures on TikTok and you know immediately it's not going to move, right? So content creation and content, the strategy behind it has now, in my very first point that I made when we started, has gone down to the understanding of the platform and how that platform targets a specific audience, in what way, right? I really like that you can make TikTok-style reels and use them on Instagram Reels as well. But do they always work? No, because the trends are completely different, right? At the same time, Instagram, while they are trying to pivot to Reels, still very good graphics and images still work there, right? So, and YouTube, right? You need the long forms, you need, and I can go on and on about the differences between each platform, but the real understanding is, where's my audience? 25 to 35-year-old woman, I'm still going Instagram hard, right? Anything younger than that, I'll go TikTok hard, right? And anything older than that, I will go Facebook, YouTube hard. So it's really about understanding where your platform, which platform is your audience on, and then making content for that platform. And there's a ton of instructional videos on YouTube about how to make content that works on the individual platforms, and I eat them all up, man. I watch them all the time, yeah.
Next, anybody? Yeah. Before that, Neil, you were saying that there are loyal, you have like loyal people who would want to buy. They just want to buy. They don't care what your reel is or what your story is. How do you target those people? Because usually everybody is bored, so they're just scrolling, and then it's a word of mouth, a friend sharing a reel, you know, this is a new product, let's get it, what it is. So how can you, in those 15, 30 seconds of a reel or a video, whatever, how can you attract those kind of audience who actually wants to buy the product?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because I didn't catch the name at first. So I think the answer from Jason was very good there. First, know where they are, because I didn't specify what platform, because you assume TikTok. In my head, I was at Google with like the specific keywords. But if you can find out what their problems are. So let's make a very easy example. So if somebody is searching for how can I lose like 30 pounds in 10 days, they are pretty far down the funnel. So they're really having that problem. If someone is just like, how many calories has a green apple? That's not, the problem is not very strong there. So if you can find out what is bothering your audience, and one tool could be SEO, where you can see exactly what are people searching and in what amounts. So with what all you people are typing into Google, I can see that in numbers. So I can search any topic and see what are the biggest problems. And then I can kind of identify, just as I did with that weight loss example, how strong is like the pain or the problem, or how deep are they in trouble. For example, I'm taking a bad example now. It doesn't have to be bad, but you can, with knowing the topic, identify, is that someone who is in my target group or not? And if he is in my target group, I can create content very specific to that topic. And then I will probably reach those people and have a higher conversion rate than with the very top funnel content. So that's pretty much what I meant. Yeah.
Hi, my question is for also Mr. Jason. Since you mentioned that you came from being the head of Netflix in Asia, and this is something big for me because I'm also in streaming industry. We have a streaming platform that streams classic movies, all classic content. It's called Brightflix. So I wanted to know, just out of curiosity, what was the biggest challenge you faced? Because we are not talking about just one country, we're talking about the whole region. We're talking about probably the biggest region, Asia. So I'm sure you had head-on challenges, and there are a lot, but considering the time, maybe you can mention just one of them that you would like to share.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the question. Now, this was a couple of years ago now that I was looking at the problem that we are facing down there. And what a lot of people don't realize about streamers is that none of us are marketing movies. We are marketing subscriptions. You are not, the movie is just a conduit to getting people to say, I want to buy into this platform, correct? So, but we use the movies because you have superstars and all that to actually drive the awareness at the top. But what happens is that moving them down the funnel to actually buy a subscription is the tricky part. So what I realized is that the key for Asia, which I think, if I don't mind me asking, are you based in the Gulf region? Global, okay. So the biggest challenge I face based in Singapore and marketing across Asia is that if you understand the Southeast Asian and the Asian landscape, is that every time you cross a border, the language completely changes, right? There is no universal language across. English is kind of it, but you can't market in English in Thailand, you know? You can't market in English in Cambodia, you're gonna fail, right? So the biggest challenge was being able to localize. So the big buzzword at that point was localization. How do I bring that kind of cult following around, say, orange is the new black, right, into that country and talk to them? And talk to the people there who might be most interested in it. So for you, you're doing classical movies. I won't go into a big diagnosis about how to run a marketing plan there, but classical movies means that your audience is slightly on the slightly older, right, a more mature audience, right? So you got to choose your platform well, and you got to localize to that audience, or you'll never get them to subscribe to your channel. Yeah, hope that helps.
We have time for one question.
When we talk about the content, I have three groups of concern. Concern number one is the model pay on earn. And the concern number two is the quality and quantity. Concern number three is audience behavior. So now I integrate it into one question. Every business want to shift from pay media to more to earn media and on media, right? Now we don't talk about the big brand because big brand have the brand equity and brand bias. Just talk about the small business and medium business. So how can we compete with other competitor majorities for the earned media and share media? Because we talk about the qualities of the content, how to get attention with the content. If we use our money budget for advertising, is pay media, is no problem. But now, talk about the quantity. At the same time, one intern or the student can create around 100 video based on the good video from KOL or something like that. So the number of people can create hundreds of content at the same time. In the past, maybe we just compete 100 competitor, but now the content are lost from many people. So the share of voice of our company, our each person will lose, decrease a lot. So how we compete, because the share of voice decrease constantly, the number of content so much. Second, when we talk about the qualities and quantities, currently we usually come to the Google to search, and if the people or the company use the ChatGPT to create the content may be very good, but it's considered as a competitor of Google. So Google can use some tool to check this is from ChatGPT. Does that kind of content have any negative impact on the searching? And find the third thing is, in the future, maybe 1 year later, they don't come to the Bing or come to the Google anymore. Just direct to specific channel like ChatGPT to ask the question. So how is the future of the content?
Okay. Since you were kind of referring to SEO, I would take that question. So just to kind of summarize it, you're asking if it's a viable tool to use to create content for SEO, and how or if it will stay relevant in future. Can I summarize it this way? Great, okay. So we tested it. We created 300 content pieces using ChatGPT in a process that we've built on our own website, but we let it be uncritical content. So in our case, it has been a glossary, just explaining SEO terms. So it's nice traffic to have if you have a funnel to convert the very top level traffic, but if it wouldn't be there, it wouldn't be bad. We wouldn't lose our most important traffic. So we did that. We created 300 content pieces, and about 100 of them rank pretty well now. So this experiment increased our traffic by over 100% over the past 6 months. So I would consider it successful, but with clients, we're still very careful because the whole internet is getting flooded with ChatGPT content right now, and especially in the English-speaking markets, it's a big problem because they work with automations a lot, and I am very certain that Google will, in some way or another, act within the next updates. So, but that has to be a penalty. Google isn't really working with penalties anymore and isn't striking websites down. It's just like the piece of content won't rank. So in our experiment, it took way longer for Google to actually index the content. It took almost 6 weeks for some content pieces. And for them to rank, it really took almost half a year now. Probably longer for some content pieces. So I would use it in uncritical parts of your website, yes, because it's very efficient, very time efficient. But I wouldn't use it for more than 40% of the content, so that Google can say, okay, your whole site is AI generated, what the hell is that? I'm gonna strike that down. And we went pretty well with that. But for clients, we still barely use AI content at all because we don't want to put them at risk. We wait for the next 2 updates to then decide if it's fine for Google and it has accepted the new meta as the standard, or if the hammer will drop after all.
Okay, I'll just add real quick because you asked 3 questions. I'll start the last one. Is can you market on ChatGPT? The answer is, right now, I'm looking at that space closely. I think it's still linked back to how much content you have out there pushing your product, because ChatGPT is just a compilation of all the content that already exists, right? So if you don't have content out there, don't expect to appear on ChatGPT. It's the same thing, right? For your other 2 questions, I think you are conflating TVCs and ads with content. TVCs and ads, in my opinion, have a very specific push and reason for existing, but I don't consider them as a piece of content. I consider them as a means to actually push my value out there, right? So maybe we can take this offline later, but the answer to your first two questions is that that's not content, that's the ads that actually work for you. Content is a different story, yeah.
An important piece of advice I would add, like listening to all your questions, is if you look at the facts and the figures, the most successful companies and the companies which are kind of struggling is if the data-driven companies are mostly successful. They know the accurate figures and facts of what's been working in that specific industry or segment, and they act accordingly with some base, not like experimenting it without any knowledge or data that they have. So I think having an approach which is a mix of data-based approach plus using the latest tools like AI and partially like through ChatGPT, at the same time not having repetitive content like he mentioned, a good mix I think would be a great distinctive way of approaching your audience.
Thank you. I'm so sorry we are running out of time. So if you have any other questions, please catch them outside when they're having coffee or biscuits. Thank you so much, guys.